Hello, thank you for joining us. I am now going to be interviewing Daniel Lee. For those of you who know and those who don't, Daniel has played violin on two of our albums, as well as he played in the live show, which is the inspiration for Live from which he is part of Live from Lockdown. That is coming out June 30th. 2023 on Blu-ray, CD, and all the streaming platforms, including Vimeo for the video, as well as all the audio streaming platforms. So Daniel, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your musical background, how you got into music, why you love music, what kind of music you love?
Well, I actually wanted to learn violin when I was younger because my brother was taking lessons. But my parents made me wait till I was, I think, like 7. I was about 7. And I started with piano for about a year to kind of get the basics of music. And then I started violin. But I always liked violin more than
Gotcha.
piano.
Violin's a beautiful instrument. So how did you get involved in the Void Contact project?
Well, what happened was, no. I got hired on to a really fun company, and David was my manager, and with no coercion, just asked if I would be willing or if I wanted to, if it sounded fun to play, and on some songs that he had written, you've written. And since I was looking for things to do, because I hadn't really played violin since college, it sounded really fun, and it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yes, the coercion was implied, by the way. It wasn't overt. So no, strangely enough, I'm no longer at Daniel's boss, and yet he still plays. So I don't know, just a glutton for punishment, I guess.
Obviously, I enjoy it.
So I have, in some of these interviews, I've been talking, and in my own videos, I've talked about the experience of my phone ringing right during an interview. But enough about that. No, but in a lot of these, I talked about the experience of playing the show because it happened right during COVID. So I would love to know what your experience was doing the show, the Live from Lockdown show, like your whole impression of everything that happened.
Yeah, it's definitely different. We were all careful.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it was good because for me, yeah, I'm pretty extroverted. I like hanging out and seeing people. So it was really nice to socialize,
Right. Especially at that time when everybody was hunkering down.
Right. It wasn't fun doing activities and stuff with masks on since we weren't used to it, but.
Right. No, especially with my beard, wearing a mask is, I mean, I understand the importance of it and I'm not against it. It just is a very uncomfortable experience, but it's amazing how much, and then the beard looks all, I look like Salvador Dali, when it's done.
Of course, I had my ridiculously long, thick hair from not having it cut.
Right. Yes. You had the COVID hair.
Yes. Very different from now.
Very different. Yes. So tell me what other music projects you've been involved in.
I haven't been involved in many projects per se, but I am part of a community orchestra in Murfreesboro now, Lionhearted. I played some interesting pieces from a composer down in Chattanooga when I was in college. Some very new agey things with making noises with your instrument that aren't the normal way.
Right.
Like aluminum foil and things.
Right. Avant-garde.
But it's been it's a pretty classical upbringing. So for me, playing pop style stuff is very different. I'm definitely not one to improvise, so I made David write everything out for me.
Yes. That's all right. Keeps my music score chops up. Okay, I'm lying. I use software to do that. So my music score chops are not all that up. So, well, that's I'm glad you brought that up. That actually is maybe an interesting thing to talk about, is how we do what we do with the recordings, right? So first thing, and I'll kind of discuss that. So first thing I do is on the keyboard here, I play what I hear in my head, and I then listen to it and I come up with my arrangements. And then I send them to a piece of sheet music or a piece of software that does sheet music called Notion. And Notion then shows it in sheet music format. I have to, of course, pick the right instrument, and there are a few things I have to do in editing it. And then I send that to Daniel, who then rehearses and comes over and plays the parts that I wrote.
And goes, my violin can't go that low.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good challenge for me to be like, oh, okay, so that's the range of a violin. That's the range of a cello. That's the range of a clarinet. So yeah, that has been a challenge for me, because even though I was a music major, I don't remember anything, because I was a music major back in 1984.
Well, I could guess at other instruments too. And I also was a music minor. I don't know why I did quotes. I was a music minor. I was a major for a while, but then I just went to minor. But I couldn't tell you. I would be like, yeah, I know that they stopped somewhere around here.
Yeah. I think I've done pretty good with that, though.
Really good. The funny part was when your software would write out the rhythms very strangely.
Yes. So for you listening or watching, when we first did this, it was on our Secrets and Alibis album. Actually, it's the first time Daniel was working with me. I was using a piece of software called Cakewalk that had its own built-in sheet music generator, if you want to, for lack of a better word, notation generator, and it sucked. And so if you played an anticipated note, like if it was a dotted 16th or something, it seemed like it moved it to the first beat of the next measure or something weird like that. I mean, you could probably,
it would move stuff around. It wouldn't quite catch the small changes, and also it would do like really odd ties versus just using a note and rests where it didn't need it.
Yeah, it could be a half note, and instead of just doing a half note, it'd be like stringing together 3/4 notes or something weird like that, or 3/4 notes and 2/8 or something weird to get the whole note, whatever. It was just a bizarre thing. The software I use now, though, I think does a really
it's much better. Yeah.
And then when we did this, and also about the live show, since this talk is about the live show mostly, I actually hired a guy to then take the sheet music I had and to really polish it and make it more easier for a live concert. Because I think, and what I noticed he did, which I thought was really cool, was he would actually say first verse, second verse. That, because I mean, otherwise you've got just a piece of sheet music, and if you don't come in till measure 500, you're just going 1 2 3 4 1 2. You've got to count it all. So he like broke it down with notes, as in not notation, but notes, like this is the third verse and blah blah blah,
and like cues, so we have an idea of what's happening and where to expect them.
So for a lot, because in the studio you don't need that as much, because we can just go, we're going to go to measure such, and then we'll just start at measure 40 and go on. But in a live show, you got to sit through the whole parts where you're not playing to then get to the parts where you're playing. So it was something I hadn't thought of, because I don't, in my music career, I've always just either worked with chord charts or not at all, just sound, just by ear. So working with musicians who read notation, like you guys, like the string players and the horn players and the woodwind players in the show, that was a real challenge for me, and it was really fun learning experience.
Right. And really, us violinists aren't used to having to wait for 30, 60 measures in orchestra. We're usually the ones playing through most of them.
Exactly. That's the thing with playing rock versus, or any kind of pop versus playing classical, is you're not the main instrument. You're right. So you're not always through the whole song. and you know, going back to the whole live show experience, when we're talking about that, that was a really, I know that was a stressful time for me, because if any one of us had a fever, it would have closed down everything. And aside from the show being canceled, I also, like, you know, paid for things like the camera crew and all that. And that would have really, so it was a really high stress. It was wonderful, but it was also high stress.
Absolutely.
It was a very positive experience, but it was a high stress positive experience. And you know, when we finally got there the night of, and everybody got in without triggering the thermometer, you know, I was like, then of course I had the anxiety of doing the performance. And then there was, of course, me forgetting my pants.
Yeah. No one remembers.
No one remembers. But that was quite an experience, having Sandra and her husband, Jeff, you know, helping me get dressed in the bathroom with, like, I think we had like 3 minutes till showtime.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you, the filming part of it? Like, did that even play in your mind at all? Like the fact that you had these cameras and everything was run like a TV show. Like we had a very specific schedule.
It was actually a lot of fun. Like I hadn't really done anything like that. I've been performed in places that were filmed and stuff, but not like how it was, you know, not with like a crew going around or whatever. And it's really my first time playing like that, also with a pickup like mic. So that was another experience. And how, you know, playing slightly different, I guess. It is a little different playing with a pickup versus just like without, you know, playing acoustically versus being mic'd.
Does it
it mutes the instrument, so it feels different.
Okay.
And I'm maybe I'm more sensitive to it, but it's yeah.
No, I mean, that makes sense. If you don't perform with a pick,
right,
or with a mic very often. So or pick up. That's the word I was looking for. I was saying pick. Yes, violin with a pick. It's, you know, plucked.
We use our fingernails.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'm waiting for.
And also not being able to, like, you know, having so much more noise around without being able to hear myself. You know, it's different from being in like a loud orchestra where I guess things, you know, there's just a different blend of noises and you're used to it, and you have a, you know, conductor and whatever, you know.
Right. That's true. You don't really have a conductor in our situation. You don't have anybody giving you the time.
Right.
Granted, it's probably a little less necessary because you have such a thumping beat when you're dealing with rock. You got a drummer laying out a beat that you're playing to, whereas with orchestra, you really do have to have somebody guiding you because you don't really have a pulse necessarily.
Right. Probably in the live situation for me, the biggest challenge for me was my intonation, you know, because of like not being able to hear myself very well. It was just like, I hope that's right. Feels right.
Gotcha. No, I can understand that. So you weren't, because I know they worked hard to try to give you monitors, but I guess
no, we definitely could hear. Thankfully, it was you know, it helps that in like keeping myself at the right place, knowing that, but you know, so much more noise and going on that it's harder to tell. So it's something that definitely, though, as we did more of it, it got easier. It's just something that I hadn't done before.
Sure. So it's probably a good thing we had those two rehearsals in the same room.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's a great room, by the way. I want to perform there again in the future, just even to an audience, because it had a nice, I mean, you know, and SIR provides chairs, so we could easily, because the original plan was to do that in front of an audience. This is, you know, we didn't know about COVID at the time, and honestly, I had rented that room with the plans of putting a whole bunch of chairs in there. But honestly, I think even as stressful as it was doing it on Facebook Live, I feel like it was a lot better experience than it would have been. I think it because we had a bigger audience than we would have had. Granted, we didn't see them at the time, and I didn't know we had a bigger audience, But when I went to look at the numbers, we had many more people watching than we would have had they physically come to watch us.
Right. And you probably wouldn't have done as big of a live event, like a streaming event, if it was live, like
Right.
people there.
Right. Secondly, it was fun as a live streaming event because, like I was saying earlier, and like you were saying, it felt like being on a TV show.
Yeah, it was fun. It was like, okay, we're gonna be off air for a minute, and then we scramble positions or whatever.
Yeah, it was so cool. And yeah, and like we had a strict time schedule. They had graphics they put on the screen with music, which was like a commercial break, you know.
Yeah.
It really did feel like, because I've actually been on TV a few times over the years doing in the past, and it felt like that, where you get up and then you got, all right, we're on in 5, 4, you know, and they do the whole countdown thing, and then the camera lights are, you know, red, and you know, you look where the light comes on the camera, you're like, okay, that's the camera that's on now, it's that camera, that's that camera, that sort of thing. Yeah, that was a fun experience. It had added to the stress again because we're like on a time schedule, whereas in a live audience we might have been like a little more, you know, oh, I forgot my pants, okay folks, hey, hang out for a minute, you know, Dave's gonna go get changed, where it was like, no, we're on a strict schedule, you got to be on in 3 minutes, you know, that kind of thing. So it was overall though a lot of fun. And you too, folks at home, can see this concert on Blu-ray, and you can, or on Vimeo if you want to stream it. And you can listen to it on Spotify, Amazon, Pandora, iTunes, Apple Music, you name it.
Is it on YouTube Music?
It's on YouTube Music. Yes, it's on YouTube. It's on Deezer, which I only know about Deezer because it's in my, you know, like when I look at where I've been played, it's on Deezer. I think that's a European one, I think mostly. But yeah, and it's called Live from Lockdown, and it took place, the live concert took place in Nashville in 2020. And we'll be having a private screening for the band and family and friends that Daniel's not going to be in because he's gone to, you know, to other places on vacation. No, but seriously, it's gonna be fun. And yeah, I look forward to, I hope everybody enjoys it. And it's all your favorite Void Contact songs, and a couple of covers. We did some song by Chicago, song by Billy Joel, so a little extra there. And yeah, Daniel, hey, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure. It's
Absolutely.
been great.
Awesome. All right, and everybody, take care, and we see you soon.